Greetings to you all, and thank you to the Asian Development Bank Institute for inviting me to speak at your annual conference, and of course to my dear friend President Asakawa for his leadership. Last month at COP26 in Glasgow, we secured what many thought was out of reach, a historic global agreement on climate action, the Glasgow Climate Pact. It's a pact that brings together countries back to the table next year to revisit and strengthen their 2030 emission reduction targets to align with the Paris temperature goal. A pact that scales up public finance, a pact that commits countries to phase down coal power and end inefficient fossil fuel subsidies. And it's a pact that completes, after 6 years, the outstanding elements of the Paris Agreement, including on carbon markets. Taken with the announcements made outside the negotiating halls to end coal power, protect forests and move to clean cars, the Glasgow Climate Pact keeps within reach the goal of limiting the rise in global temperature to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. The 1.5 degree limit lives, but as I said in Glasgow, its pulse is weak, and it is up to all of us to protect it and strengthen it. And that means that delivery is the order of the day, and that ultimately relies on finance. Now, the work of the ADB and public finance more widely is absolutely vital. The Asia-Pacific region is critical in the fight against climate change, and with so many millions vulnerable to its effects, adaptation is a priority. And with the region's booming energy demand, the transition to clean power will be key to limiting the rise in global temperature. In many cases, the ambition is very much there. At COP26, for example, India announced that it will generate 500 gigawatts of energy from non-fossil fuels by 2030, and Vietnam committed to phase out coal power entirely. And it is finance that will turn such ambition into action. So I want to thank the ADB for your leadership on climate, on both mitigation and adaptation. So from committing to align all operations with the Paris Agreement by mid-2025 to increasing your climate finance targets and your new energy policy supporting both access to power and the transition away from coal. These achievements are part of the fundamental shift that is underway, a shift that is seeing more public and private finance committed to climate action. Thanks to the $100 billion delivery plan, we can say with some confidence that developed countries will mobilize $100 billion a year in climate finance by 2023 at the latest, and $500 billion over the period 2021 to 2025. You all know that the financial institutions representing $130 trillion in assets have joined the Glasgow Financial Alliance for Net Zero, committing to science-based targets to reach net zero by 2050. And of course, the multilateral development banks are stepping up to the challenge. Almost every major MDB, including, as I said, the ADB, has committed to stretching green finance targets and to aligning with the Paris Agreement by 2025 at the latest. And now we all need to build on the momentum that we have generated, and working with private finance to mobilize funds to developing countries will be absolutely vital, because this now is our key challenge, and it requires public and private institutions to work together. Innovative public-private partnerships are, of course, being launched all the time. For example, the Climate Finance Leadership Initiative has a new country platform for India. And at COP26, the Climate Investment Funds announced a capital markets mechanism providing up to $7 billion for clean energy, with the aim of leveraging up to $70 billion. I know that the ADB is already doing some excellent work here. The Energy Transition Mechanism, which is helping to consign coal to history, is just one example. And so I urge all MDBs to work with private financial institutions to hone their mobilization strategies and leverage more private finance. Let's ensure that the momentum that is building in private finance is converted into resilient infrastructure, into wind turbines and solar panels supplying power to people across the whole of Asia. Together, my friends, let's continue to keep 1.5 degrees alive. Thank you.